Hey everyone, Pedro here. Continuing our series about managing a circle community, today I'm going to talk about creating a space group and spaces. So to create a space group, you can hover over here on the left menu and you can see create a space group. So let's create a new one. Pretty easy. You're going to select the name, let's add tests, and you can see that already pops up the URL. You can change the URL to whatever you want. This is a test. Yeah, so you can change it. You can hide from non-space members, like we have here the Discover Space group, and it's hidden. You can toggle on. You can only show join space in the sidebar. So here, like people that are on the comics space are not on the comic space. So yeah, you can hide those spaces that people are not. Let's hide it. You can allow members to create space. This depends on what's the type of your community. But yeah, so just be aware of that. And lastly, you can automatically add members to new space within the group. So let's say here on this community space group, if I create a new space, like one for the podcast, when I create this space, then everyone that was inside the community is going to be added to the podcast. Finally, when you invite a member to a specific space, let's say I have a specific invitation link to the podcast space. If members accept the invitation, they're also going to be added to the space group as well. So let's just create the test space group here. You're going to see that it's going to show up here. Let's now create a space. Here you're going to set up the icon. This is app space. Select space group here. Since odd having this here, but it's pretty much useful when if I have an admin space group like this one and I'm gonna show something new for the community, then I can create the space exactly the way I want, and later I can just change the space group here to move to community and then add members from the space group. So I can toggle on, and when I change, all members are going to be added to the space group. Then you can select the type, if it's just for posts or events. Events is like this one here on Circles Community, where you can have all your past events and your upcoming events. Here's how an event looks like. Now in Access, you can choose to be open, anyone can join, anyone can see it. You can choose to be private, so anyone can see, but do not join. And then we can create a custom login page for that. I will leave it private, so we can see later. And also a secret, so only through invitations. We're gonna cover invitations later, but yeah, only those with an invitation link, or when you add someone or invite, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show as well later, they will join the space. So let's just set space so we can customize the lock screen and new post notifications. So whenever we have a new post, you can set up for members to get by email and also in-app in the notifications icon. They can always change it later, so be aware of what kind of notifications you want to set up in each space in your community, so you don't overload members with too much notifications. So let's just create the space. Now we have our app space here, where members can check the posts, all members, and filter as well. And here on settings, we can already see if a member wants to leave the space, if we want to delete the space, and we can add the space. So this is the same, but here we have customize. In the layout, you can choose for members to see the post as a feed, or as a list, or as a card. Let me show examples of what it looks like. So the feed is going to show up just like here on introductions. You can read all the text. The list is like this, just the list with the titles. You cannot see the body. And the card view is like this, where you can set up those cards. You can see here in the fitted space where member posts shows up like this as well. And you can choose to show the right sidebar. The right sidebar is this one. So here you can see that I have here enabled, and in this space we have disabled. And this will change like how much you have in whites in your spaces. The visible tabs, it is posts and members, as you can see here. Depending on the kind of space, you want to hide the members, but if you have enabled both, you can choose the default when members arrive. And here's where you customize the lock screen. You can create a title, a brief description, you can add a video, and the call to action and the link. So this works perfectly where you have communities, where you have public space and private space. So the public space is for you kind of tease with your future paid members, and you can set up here like this. So just an example of how you can use customize lock screen is like, let's say that all these spaces in my community are public and the Discover are private. So members needs to pay to access the Discover section, and here's how I can set up this. Lastly, we have the options where you can select moderators. You can also enter in a member's profile and add the space there as well. I'm going to show this later in another video. Here where you set up permissions for members to add others. If you have a private, just be aware of that. Is where you show the contents in feature areas, so the home and the weekly digest. So if you have a private space, be aware of that as well. Is where you allow members to create posts. If you have an onboarding space like I have here, then just be aware for members, just don't change your space and create new posts. Allow post titles and cover images as well. You can set up custom labels for the pinned post section. That is, let me show here. In discussions, we have useful resources. So you can change this in this label. The SEO, again, if you have a public space and if you want to show up in Google search or whatever search, then you can set up everything here to improve the rankings. And the default sorts. You can allow members to sort posts. So this feature here, or you can disable and just select your posts. Also comments for latest or oldest. The default posts is the same, but here you can set up the default and the default member if you have the members tab enabled as well. So yeah, we can apply changes. So let me show you here quickly, just on the discussion space. As an example, you can see that we have the notifications where members can set up the notifications for this specific space. So email, in-app, and push notifications. And also where you can add members to this space. You can start typing a name. Let's try Matt. Let's go with Battle Act words. Or you can add everyone from a space group, from this space group. So let's say that you're launching a new space, you can already add everyone from the previous space group. And you can choose to notify members or not. that you are inviting them. Or the other way to invite members is by importing CSV. Let's go to invitations here, and you can upload your CSV and have an email sent as an invitation. Where you customize this email is in settings and onboarding. It could be a bit misleading, but yeah. So here we have the settings. On the onboarding tab is where you're going to customize the email invitations for all cases. Members that don't have a Circle account, that have a Circle account, you can change it here and invite. Save in here, save, and then go back here. And here you can also already add some text as default. So let's say we are inviting members to the writer space. We can add a tag for writers, and you can also add the members that accept the invitation to another groups and also another space. So yeah, this is how you invite and add members to a specific space. Remember to send the invites later. We're gonna cover about everything about invitations and invite links later, but let me know if you still have any questions about creating space and space groups. There you have everything about creating a new space. See you in the next one.